Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the NFL released their schedule for the 2022 season, and they did it with such great anticipation. It felt like they were just kind of sprinkling along little nuggets for NFL fans to enjoy. Fish, what stood out to you the most when it comes to this next season's schedule?
Well, first of all, to your point, the NFL does a job in terms of marketing that is, there's nothing quite like it, not just in sports, but maybe in all of the world of sales and marketing. What once was, well, we're just going to announce the schedule.
Right.
Now, you mentioned the word anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
This year, maybe more than ever, they did the sprinkling.
Yeah.
So you got a Monday announcement and some Tuesday. It used to be leaks, so we used to have to work to go. Oh, I hear that this game's. But now the NFL just tells you. Yeah, guess what?
Yeah.
On a random Tuesday, they tell you the Cowboys are playing against the Packers in Week 10.
Right.
And then on Thursday, of course, it all comes.
And then everyone starts to book their flights and their hotels and circle it on their calendars.
There's no question, and of course, we'll do that here at CowboysSI.com, where.
Right.
I did with my wife Marcia, and with you. We sat down and figured, okay, I'm going there, we're going there, who's going there. It all, of course, starts with Cowboy training camp and then other NFL training camps around the league, and then we'll go to Oxnard with the Cowboys, and we'll go all around the country, of course, thanks to the power of SI and Fan Nation. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons schedule, which is a bear. I just look at it, and I'm not talking about strength of schedule now with a measurement. I'm just saying, I look at especially their first 7 opponents or so, and that is a gauntlet. And this is a team under Fontenot and Smith that a year ago did not want to concede that they're in rebuilding mode.
Yeah.
But here we are a year later, and just based on their schedule and other things, because there's nothing wrong now with what they've done in their upgrade of talent, but their schedule makes this look for the Falcons like another rebuilding year.
Yeah, especially for a team who's just trying to get going, a lot of new pieces. When you start hard like that, it's not good. So I have to ask, when you looked at the 2022 NFL schedule, did anything surprise you?
I think the Cowboys coming right out of the gate with 2 home games, which is helpful to them.
Yeah.
But you talk about tested. Now, you could start 0-2, and in this league of parity, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a disaster, but it won't feel good in Dallas if they have Tampa Bay, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in week 1, which they do, and they're 2.5-point underdogs at this very early stage. That's week 1, so the odds makers think the Cowboys are going to lose that game. And then in week 2, here comes Joe Burrow and the arguably best team, they were last year, Super Bowl, in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know what the odds are on that. What you're an odds-making kind of gal. Maybe that's.
I would guess that the Cowboys will be underdogs.
Okay, maybe it's Bengals by 1 or even or something like that. So
it's so hard when it's so far out.
Right.
Yeah.
This, we still don't even know the entire makeup of the roster.
Will Michael Gallup be back in time?
Right. That's why. And you're an odds-making girl, but it's not like we're putting money on any of this stuff. We're purely speculating, but the possibility certainly exists that the Cowboys start the season 0-2 and then have to climb out of a hole from there.
We talked a little bit about the NFL schedule release and how much there was anticipation for it, but how about how each team released their videos? In particular, the Los Angeles Chargers video got a ton of attention because for each opponent they did just a little slight jab.
Yeah.
And they were, little small jabs, but they were funny.
The Chargers and the Rams sharing Los Angeles, of course, there's that rivalry of sorts.
Right.
And then there's also a rivalry not only on the field, but also in trying to grab audience.
Right.
And I think NFL fans know that Los Angeles is also Cowboy territory in a lot of cases. Mr. Jerry Jones certainly thinks that, and Mr. Kroenke would not argue, frankly. But Chargers versus Rams is really funny on social media because they all do their thing. In fact, this goes all the way back to the NFL draft when the Rams did the draft house.
Yeah.
And they go up wherever it was in Malibu or the Hollywood Hills or whatever and get a very selling sunset kind of house.
Beautiful.
And they put their feet up on the ottoman and they have their fun. Well, the Chargers countered now by, and they did. They went through every team that they played, and they took a little shot.
It was hysterical. But they weren't the only one who had some fun with their release video. The Cowboys and Jerry Jones working with Stephen A. Smith, who is, of course, a huge Dallas Cowboys critiquer, hater, whatever you want to call him. Their video involved Stephen A. Smith and Jerry Jones, and I kind of loved it.
Yeah, that was really clever of the Cowboys to embrace the guy who those members of the audience who are naive
Yeah.
think that Stephen A. Smith hates the Cowboys.
Right.
In fact, as we've said here many times, and I say this with all respect to him because he works his head off, Stephen A. Smith does.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know if this is going to be before your time. Remember the show The Jeffersons?
I do. I've heard of it.
Okay, Sherman Hemsley, the dad on The Jeffersons,
Yeah.
that's Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
It's just an act.
Yeah.
And he's
He knows how to get views.
right, and he's yelling and he's screaming and he's mad at Wheezy, but it's all just, he's an actor.
Right.
And so he performed in this skit with
Right.
Jerry Jones as if the Cowboys were using him as a prop in their schedule release. Very clever of the Cowboys to ride that Stephen A. Smith train.
Right.
And then the most clever of all, frankly, is Stephen A. Smith to go ahead and embrace the idea that he hates the Cowboys, and I emphasize fake. I say this respectfully. I don't mean this as an insult. Stephen A. Smith couldn't name, he knows Dak and he knows Zeke.
Yeah. Maybe CD.
He knows Lamb and he knows Micah.
Okay.
He might not be able to. I don't think Stephen A. Smith could tell you who the Cowboys' starting safeties are. In fact, I would bet $1,000
Ooh, let's get him on the phone.
to Stephen A. Smith's favorite charity and to mine that Stephen A. Smith could not tell you without looking it up, without going to cowboyssi.com and looking it up, who the Cowboys' starting safeties are. But so if you understand that that's part of his shtick,
Right.
and the Cowboys clearly do, it's just
Yeah.
part of the game, then it's enjoyable. If you let yourself get upset about it,
Yeah.
you're making a horrible mistake. This is the Cowboys,
Entertainment.
right? This is the Cowboys and Stephen A. Smith embracing the entertainment
Right.
of his fake hatred.
Yes, let's talk about the NFL in broader terms. In the NFL schedule release, a lot was made about strength of schedule.
Yes.
The Super Bowl defending Los Angeles Rams have the hardest strength of schedule, while the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders have the easiest strength of schedule. How much does that matter to you?
If you just look at who's in your division,
Yeah.
that tells you a great deal. If you're the Rams and you're playing in a division
Tough division.
where the Cardinals are good,
Yeah.
and you're playing in a division where the 49ers are good, and you play them twice, you don't have to be a math genius to figure out, well, that's going to increase your strength of schedule
Yeah.
issue. Flip side in Washington and in Dallas too. If you get to play a collection of teams that didn't have good records last year,
Yeah.
Giants included, of course, then that's going to make that easier. You can do the same thing with the Houston Texans and that division. For Tennessee and the Colts to get to play the Texans twice,
Right.
not to mention the Jaguars twice,
Yeah.
is going to create the impression and maybe even the illusion that the strength of schedule is an easy one. But as you pointed out, we've pointed out before, we're sitting here now in the middle of spring, approaching summer,
Yeah.
trying to guess what a team's going to be like in November.
Yeah.
And the guesses are fun, but you won't put any money on it.
Okay, let's talk about one last thing when it comes to the NFL, and that's major news when it comes to Sean Payton possibly returning to coaching in 2023. What is your take on all of this?
I believe that there's one coach in the entire NFL who is above the fray. There's one guy who's worth anything you can do, and that's Bill Belichick with our beloved New England Patriots. That's the guy, and it's the only guy. Is
And
Sean?
he's proven it.
He's established it. What he's done, especially post Brady, is they've remained competitive while having Cam Newton as the quarterback one year and then Mac Jones as the quarterback another year. So over the course of 3 years, you had Brady, and we're good. Cam Newton, good, pretty good. Mac Jones, here you are, good again.
Yeah.
3 completely different scenarios, and the coach is the same. Is Sean Payton that guy? I don't think that's fair of either of them to say that he's that guy. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys are enamored with Sean Payton. They have a relationship with him. He has a relationship with them. But the news this week is that if you want to have Sean Payton be your coach someday, whether it's because Mike McCarthy didn't get the job done, or because somebody decides they don't like Mike McCarthy in Dallas, or go to the NFC South where somebody might decide that Matt Rule in Carolina isn't getting the job done. That's the latest buzz, is that Carolina has its eye on Sean Payton. And of course, so does a couple of TV networks. He still hasn't, as we speak here, inked a deal with his TV network. I have seen some people say, you can't just do one year and go, 1 year and out and part-time this TV thing. Yeah, you can.